I never thought you could feel betrayal before you actually knew about it. Not proof, not a message, not lipstick on a collar, just a shift in the air, like a window left slightly open in the middle of winter. My name is Emily, and this is the story of my husband, Daniel, and my sister, Olivia. Olivia and I were never close. People always assume sisters are either best friends or dramatic enemies. We were something quieter, colder. Growing up, we were constantly compared. Olivia was the beautiful one, effortlessly magnetic, the kind of girl who walked into a room and bent the atmosphere around her. I was the responsible one, the stable one, the one teachers liked, the one parents relied on. She wore short skirts and red lipstick at 16. I wore cardigans and straight A's. She dated boys who rode motorcycles. I dated textbooks. Our rivalry was never loud. It was built on glances, on sarcasm disguised as humor, on compliments that cut. "You're so lucky you don't care about your looks," she once told me. "You're so lucky you don't care about your future," I replied. When I met Daniel, Olivia was the first person I told. "He's different," I said. She smirked. "They're always different at the beginning." Daniel was everything I thought I deserved. Calm, attentive, gentle. He listened when I spoke. He remembered tiny details, my favorite tea, the way I hated thunderstorms, the fact that I cried during animal rescue videos. He made me feel chosen. We got married after a year and a half. It felt right, safe, solid. On our wedding day, Olivia wore a red dress. I remember that detail more clearly than I remember my own bouquet. She stood next to Daniel during the reception, laughing at something he said. Leaning slightly toward him, her hand resting briefly on his arm, I brushed it off. "She's my sister," I told myself. Family. The first time something inside me twisted was about 2 years into our marriage. We were at our mother's birthday dinner. A simple gathering. Wine, candles, forced laughter. Daniel and Olivia were sitting across from each other, and they were connected. Their eye contact lasted a second too long. Their jokes seemed private. I would laugh half a second later than them because I hadn't caught the beginning of whatever they were referencing. I told myself I was being paranoid. Insecure wives see ghosts everywhere. But then came the small things. Olivia started dropping by more often. Just in the neighborhood. Just 5 minutes. Just needed to borrow something. And somehow those just moments almost always aligned with Daniel being home. One afternoon, I walked into the kitchen and saw them standing close. Not inappropriate. Not technically, but close. Daniel was showing her something on his phone. Olivia was laughing. Her fingers rested lightly on his shoulder. When they noticed me, they moved apart slightly too quickly. "Are we interrupting something?" I asked lightly. Olivia smiled. "Relax, Em, it's just a meme." I would grow to hate that word. Daniel started changing too. He became protective of his phone. Screen down, always locked. He began stepping onto the balcony to take calls. At night, he turned his body away from me in bed. When I brought it up, he sighed. "You're overthinking. You've been stressed. Why would I ever do something like that?" Gaslighting is subtle. It doesn't slap you. It slowly rearranges your reality until you don't trust your own reflection. Then came the night everything shifted. Olivia called me around 8:30 p.m. Her voice sounded shaky. "Em, can you come over? I'm not okay." Of course I went. She was my sister. The drive took about 40 minutes. When I got there, her apartment was dark. No lights, no car, no answer. I called her, phone off. A cold wave ran through me. I sat in my car and called Daniel. No answer. I called again. Voicemail. My hands started shaking. I don't know what made me do it. Instinct, maybe, or something deeper. Something that had been gathering for months. Instead of driving home, I drove back, but not to our house. Olivia had once mentioned she kept a spare key to a small studio apartment she rented with a friend as an investment property. I didn't know the address exactly, but I knew the neighborhood. It was reckless, irrational, but my body felt like it already knew. When I reached the building, Daniel's car was parked outside. I stopped breathing. I told myself there was an explanation, 1,000 explanations. Maybe Olivia was really sick and he came to help. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe I was insane. I walked to the entrance. The lobby was quiet. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. The elevator ride felt endless. When I reached the door 4 billion, I hesitated. There was light underneath, and then I heard it. Laughter, low, intimate, familiar, Daniel's voice, Olivia's voice. I knocked, silence, then whispering, then footsteps. The door opened. Olivia stood there barefoot, wearing Daniel's shirt. My world didn't explode. It imploded, collapsed inward, silent and suffocating. For a second, none of us spoke. Daniel appeared behind her, his face drained of color. "Emily," I looked at him, then at her, then back at him. "How long?" I asked. My voice didn't shake. That scared me more than if it had. "It's not what you think," Olivia started. I laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "Please don't insult me." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I used to find comforting. "It just happened. Just that word again. People don't just fall into bed," I said quietly. "They walk there." Silence. And then Olivia said something that still echoes in my mind. "He talks to me, Emily, about things he can't tell you." The cruelty of that sentence was surgical. I turned to Daniel. "Is that true?" He hesitated. That was answer enough. The truth I learned that night wasn't a single betrayal. It had been building for almost a year. Texting first. Late-night conversations. Emotional intimacy disguised as harmless connection. They bonded over how difficult I had become, over how distant our marriage felt. He said he felt understood by her. Understood by my sister. I don't remember leaving the apartment. I don't remember the drive home. I only remember standing in my kitchen at 2 a.m., staring at the wall, realizing that the two people who were supposed to protect me had chosen each other instead. But the worst part? It wasn't over. Because betrayal doesn't end at discovery. That was only the beginning. But the worst part? It wasn't that they slept together. It wasn't even that it had been going on for almost a year. The worst part was realizing I had been slowly erased from my own marriage and replaced by my sister. The next morning, Daniel came home. I hadn't slept. I was still sitting at the kitchen table, wearing the same clothes, staring at nothing. He walked in quietly, like a guest in someone else's house. "Emily," he said softly. I didn't look at him. "Don't say my name like that," I replied. He sat down across from me, the same seat he had sat in 1,000 mornings before. The same table where we had planned vacations, talked about having kids, argued about paint colors. "I never meant for it to happen," he said. "There it is again," I whispered. "Like it was weather, like you slipped on a banana peel and landed in her bed." He closed his eyes. "It started as talking." Of course it did. It always starts with talking. He told me about the first night. We had argued I don't even remember about what. Something small. Dishes, work stress, life. He texted Olivia. He said she understood him, she didn't judge, she listened. "She made me feel seen," he said. I finally looked at him. And I didn't. He hesitated. That hesitation broke something permanently. "It wasn't like that," he said quickly. "You were tired, we were distant, she was just there." Just there, I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. "She's my sister." "I know, do you?" My voice cracked for the first time. "Do you understand what you've done? This isn't just cheating, you split my family in half." He reached for my hand. I pulled it away. "Do you love her?" I asked. Silence too long. "I don't know," he admitted, and that was worse than a yes. Because "I don't know" meant it wasn't just sex, it wasn't just weakness, it was something emotional, something nurtured. Over the next week, everything unraveled. My mother called me, crying. Olivia had told her side. Apparently, according to Olivia, Daniel and I had been unhappy for months. Apparently, I was cold, controlling, emotionally unavailable. I almost admired how smoothly she stepped into my life and rewrote me as the villain. "She says they didn't mean to hurt you," my mother whispered on the phone. I laughed. "They didn't mean to. So this is accidental betrayal." My mother didn't answer. For the first time in my life, I felt completely alone in my own family. Then came the real blow. 3 weeks later, Daniel asked to meet. We sat in a quiet cafe. Neutral territory. He looked thinner, tired. "I moved out," he said. I nodded. I already knew. "I'm staying with Olivia for now." There it was, out loud, no hiding. "For now," I repeated. "It's complicated." "No," I said calmly. "It's actually very simple. You chose her." He leaned forward. "I didn't choose. I'm confused." You don't fall in love by confusion, I replied. You fall in love by feeding it. He looked like he wanted me to scream, to throw coffee in his face, to cause a scene, but I was calm. And that terrified him more. What are you going to do? He asked. I took a slow breath. For the first time in months, I'm going to trust myself. I filed for divorce the next day. Olivia didn't call, not to apologize, not to explain, but 2 months later she did show up, at my apartment. I opened the door and there she was, no red dress this time, no confidence dripping from her posture. He's different now, she said. I almost smiled. Different how? He's distant, moody, suspicious. Suspicious. The irony was suffocating. He checks my phone, she continued. He gets jealous when I go out. He thinks I'll do to him what we did to you. I crossed my arms. And will you? Her jaw tightened. It's not the same. It is exactly the same, I said quietly. You didn't win a prize, Olivia. You inherited a liar. She flinched. For the first time, I saw it not superiority, not triumph. Fear, you don't understand, she said. I love him. I studied her face, all those years of rivalry, of comparison, of competition. And suddenly I saw something else. She hadn't taken him because she loved him. She had taken him because he was mine. You didn't want Daniel, I said softly. You wanted to beat me. Her eyes filled with tears. That's not true, isn't it? Silence. The kind that tells the truth without words. She left without another sentence. 6 months later, I heard they broke up. He cheated on her, with a coworker. When I found out, I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt closure. Because betrayal isn't about beauty, or charm, or being enough. It's about character. And character doesn't change depending on who's standing in front of you. The last time I saw Daniel was in court. He looked at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was, because the woman who married him would have begged. The woman sitting there that day, she had rebuilt herself from ashes. I lost a husband. I lost a sister. But I found something far more important, my boundaries. And here's what I learned. The deepest betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from the people who know exactly where to place the knife. If you're listening to this and you feel that cold shift in the air, don't ignore it. Trust is quiet, but so is intuition. And sometimes the worst part isn't losing them. It's realizing you were the only one who was loyal all along.